Hello, hello, it's Nicole Norris here, and it is the fourth Thursday of the month, so it's time for another amazing collaboration with my good friend, Kimberly Sparks. Super fun. Last month, I actually got to meet her in person for the first time, and I'm going to just tell you now, people, she is as amazing as she sounds. She is just so much fun and a phenomenal human. So, I'm so grateful again to be doing this collaboration with her. And what is our collaboration? We take the Creative Memories 52 Scrapbooking Project recipe book, and each month we pick one recipe and we both go our separate on our separate cameras because we both live across the country from each other, and we create the layout and take our own take on it. So let's take a look at the sketch that we are using this month. It is project recipe number 29. This is a great sketch, super fun. They've got the collection that the sample is in is Adventure Park. But let's take a look what we've got here. We've got two 6x4 photos, horizontal photos, and then we have six 3x3 photos. So a lot of photos, which is awesome. And then it looks like that they decorated it with these dovetailed pieces on both the left and right side. So the layout is mirrored. The left hand and right hand are mirrored of each other. And then they've ran some border strips down the bottom of this. And so this is a great sketch. I think it's super fun. I think this one's going to be a really fast one, and I think it's going to come together. In the sample, they definitely have got a border and then another strip of paper and used quite a bit of retail space across that bottom with the borders and accents. I really do like the dovetailed pieces. I definitely, I'm not going to be using a busy pattern paper for my base. I think the bright polka dot paper actually draws your eye away from the photos, but I don't know that I've really looked at the photos because my eye's been drawn away from those photos to the pattern paper. So I definitely am going to want to use a different base than a pattern, a cardstock base probably. Let's see what we've got here on the cutting guide side of this. It looks like we've got 6.5 by 4.5. So 1/4-inch photo mats. All the way around. Same with the 3x3, which is okay. That's okay. I think I'm going to use a little bit of a thinner photo mat and kind of lighten up this layout a little bit. And then we've got the borders along the bottom. And I do, like I said, really love the dovetail. So we've got some dovetail pieces. So yeah, this layout has a lot of potential. I'm excited to work with it. So let's take a look at the pictures I have first. I just got back from a camping trip up Logan Canyon where I live. It is beautiful. We dry camp. We're glamping. Let me be honest. Okay, people, we are not roughing it. We are glamping. So this is our setup here. We've got a toy hauler. I've got an ATV that we love to ride the trails up there because it's gorgeous. And we dry camp, which means we don't have hookups. We're not in like an official campground. It is areas that like definitely get camped in, but it's not like an official campground. So here's a picture of our camp. Can you see? Oh, nature, love it. This is basically the rough and life I'm living, and it is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. We did a little ATV ride up there, and this camping trip, it was just this last weekend, like I said, was just my husband and I and my youngest daughter. So and it was nice and cool up there. Oh, it was so nice. It was just so pretty. So this is us in the ATV, our Razor. This is the trail on the road that we were on. Look at those white aspens. I love white aspens. Back at camp, some eating. Okay, could my puppy have posed any better for this photo? Is that hilarious? Some chilling, relaxing, and another picture of the view. It was so gorgeous up there. This is up a spot called Temple Peak, and it is so pretty. So I have printed out the 6 3x3s and the 2 4x6 photos, and I have matted them, but I did a little bit thinner of a mat. So where the cutting instructions say to do a 3.5 by 3.5 mat for your 3x3 photos, I did like 3.25 by 3.25 And then like for the 4x6, I did 4¼ by 6¼ not 4½ by 6½. So this photo I think is where I'm going to use a little bit a different item for this photo on this for that one. That's why it's not matted. Let me show you the paper and collection that I've pulled out. Obviously we're camping, so I pulled the Deeper in the Woods. I've been so excited to use this collection. I think it's such a fun outdoors paper packet. So I have the Deeper in the Woods paper. There's also these Deeper in the Woods laser cut borders that have got some fun borders, and this leaves one. We've got some really real life like trees. This one has like, it's kind of like a felt like moss like on here. That's kind of cool. Definitely some trees. So we've got some laser cut borders here that I think will be fun to use, especially thinking along the bottom of that sketch, of that recipe where they had those borders. That could be a great place for those. And then we've also got these Deeper in the Woods embellishments, which has some great frames in here like this. And I think that that is one that I'm going to use on this layout. I actually pulled out this one, which I think has those felt type leaves on it, which I think is super fun. And the aspens, which from the trail we were riding on had the aspens. So I think this would be a great option for that, my main focal photo. So I definitely want to use that. I've also got some stickers here, the Matte Pack cards. I don't think I'm going to use those, but I definitely am going to use this paper collection. So the other thing what I want to use for the base is actually a product that I've been hoarding a little bit, but Creative Memories brought it back and was re-released this week in the launch on Monday. And I am super excited about it. Just so you know, I have pre-cut my pieces. I had someone leave a comment that they're like, your video's kind of long. Maybe you should cut your pieces off camera. So I'm going to try that this time where I've pre-cut my pieces, and let me know in the comments if you prefer that, because if you do, that's for sure something I can do to keep the length of the videos a little bit shorter. So I have pre-cut my pieces. All right, see this paper, this Stardust paper with the little, I hope you can see it on camera, but there's little speckles on it. So it's a soft white, it's not the bright white, so it's not white. Like if you were to look at what the bright white looks like next to this, you would see like, look what a difference that is. So this definitely has not bright white color, it's got some yellows in it. So it's kind of like an off-white color, but then there's these little speckles in it of color, and I love the texture that it adds to the paper. So if you didn't get this cardstock on your, when it was first released last year as part of the, it was like a cardstock buffet, I believe, I would definitely grab some more of this, because I definitely am, since I've been kind of being conservative about how I've used that cardstock, so that because I knew once I used it all up, I was out. So now I can replenish and I don't have to be so conservative on my use of it. So, all right, let's take a look here of what I've got. I also pulled out this tree line punch. This is such a great punch. I love it. I've used it quite a few times in some different swaps I've done and stuff like that. So, and it works really great with this outdoor collection. So I pulled a couple of borders. We're going to kind of lay this layout out. I did pull a couple of those borders from the laser pat, or the Deeper in the Woods laser cut borders. And I pulled these ones that look kind of like the ground cover. So we've got kind of the underbrush, like under the trees. And I thought, oh, that would be really cute along the bottom of this layout. But I wanted to add a little bit more. Like you could just use this one border, and it's really pretty to give you that kind of foundation, so that it gives you that impression that you're in the woods, especially with the speckled paper behind it. I think that that works really well. So I did do some punching, and I punched the border strips, that tree line border strip, in both the hot fudge cardstock and the avocado. And it says right on the paper packet that hot fudge and avocado were two of the coordinating colors. And so that definitely gave me a starting point as I was looking for what colors of cardstock to use. And I thought it would be kind of fun to layer these up just a little bit and to like something like this, kind of layer them so that they're just offset of each other, the front row from the back row, and then layer it behind this border, kind of something like that. I have that a little too, there we go. I had it a little too high. So I kind of like how that looks where I offset the trees and to have it layer behind that border to give me kind of, because I had a lot of space to have a thicker border down across that bottom. Because remember in this sketch, they've got a lot of space. So like piece S is 1.5 inch, and then plus the punch there. So an E is for that border. So, I mean, I easily have like 2+ inches, actually probably closer to almost 3, because A and, so this is 2.5 inches. So that's the background, this A and B. So I have 2.5 inches to work with on this sketch of what they're planning on. So I definitely wanted to like thicken this border up, this border element across the bottom. And I think adding those trees with that border does the trick. Now, if you had maybe a different picture lineup, you may not want 2.5 inches of border across the bottom here. Even with mine, I'm not going to quite hit that 2.5 inches. I'm closer to about 2.25 inches. You could definitely maybe eliminate these trees and just do this one border and have a little bit more room to work with, a little more real estate space on your layout. But I definitely like how that's looking with the trees kind of offset and then lining that behind this border, mixing those different elements to create this look of kind of in the forest on our pictures. So I definitely am liking that. And like I said, I did pull out this frame for my main focal picture. They used like a matte pack card. And so I think that that is going to work really well back there. Now, me putting this on here, I'm actually probably going to just pull out a little bit of washi tape here and kind of tape it on there to make sure that it's kind of held in place. So if I add the washi tape to the back of my photo like this, and then I want to just line that frame up. This isn't quite centered on the photo because I don't want to cut off the edge of the truck. So I'm a little high, right in there. So that works really good. Okay, so then I'm going to just flatten that down and just put another little piece of washi tape on this side just to keep my picture in place where I want it on my frame. So, and that just really is nice framing and popping it up off of this layout. So we've got these down here across the bottom, looking very outdoorsy, like that. And then remember in the recipe that had the strips down the side? Oh, we can put on our other pictures. So I have this 4x6 photo for over here. And then we've got our 3x3 photos. And like I said, I did a little bit of a smaller photo mat. The other thing about using that little bit smaller photo mat, this picture, it still kills me. How funny is that puppy of mine? Is that it gave me a little bit more white space around my photos instead of it being quite so busy. And then I want to be careful because this photo frame that was in the embellishment is pretty good size. It's a big frame. So it's taking up like 6 inches, over 6 inches. And so these photos are going to definitely be running across the bottom here, which is a good thing that my embellishment down here isn't quite as big as what the recipe called for. And there's definitely no problem if I want those trees to just lightly overlap the bottom of the photo, those photos, which would work just fine. I think that would work just right on here, something like this. So, okay. Anyways, so this is what I'm picturing down here. All right, so I did cut some of those strips for the dovetailed pieces, and I've dovetailed them. And they are all like, let's see, I think they're all about 1.5 inches and about 6 inches long, but we're gonna wanna kind of stagger them on here now, because my frame is a lot wider than what the sketch was, so I don't have quite as much room on this side for this part of it. I've picked 3 different pieces. I've got this wood grain, the trees, and this plaid. And I just think, I really just took the paper and laid it by each other and to create a nice combination with a variety. I have kind of my hero paper and then some complementing pieces to support that. So we're gonna set those down here. And we're probably gonna need to cut some of these off. Like they're all like kind of that 6-inch mark. But I do want them kind of different lengths on here. And I'm picturing kind of maybe something like that. And we can kind of spread those out just a little bit and have them overlapping a little bit. Because like I said, I don't have quite as much room as the sketch just because of this frame being so much wider than the 6.5 by 4.5 matte card that the sketch used. So I kind of like that. Maybe move that up just a little bit, something in there. So I'm liking that. And then we're going to go ahead and kind of do the same thing over here. Now this side I definitely have more room, but I also need to squeeze in some journaling on this layout. And so I may want to leave myself a little room by the photo for my journaling. So I'm going to slide that down here. And then let's put that up here again. So bring that down just a little bit. Kind of just play with it till it looks good. I don't need it to look exactly like the other side, but I do have that same combination. So yeah, I'm liking that. That looks good. All right, I have this photo and it's definitely not my star photo. That's this one over here, but it is kind of floating a little bit on the layout and just kind of stuck on there. So I grabbed a couple of scrap paper from that Deeper in the Woods paper. I've got this fun tree that has the little acorns on the back, and I also have this wood grain that we saw here, but on the back side it kind of has like the texture of like trees, like the aspens themselves, right? And I thought it would be kind of fun to do kind of some layering behind this photo. I just think that that would look nice, and it would kind of fill that space a little bit, because I want these photos lined up with the ones across from the left-hand page line up, which keeps them down pretty low. And so I thought that that would be kind of fun. And I also, in that embellishment pack, so I kind of want to layer maybe these back here. Let me stick that out just a little bit more. I also have some of the other embellishments that came from this embellishment pack. That is where I got that frame for my photo. And there was this Lost in Nature, Found in Peace. And this is so true. Honestly, my summer has been so fun with really great things, but I have been running from one awesome event to the next. And it's been a little bit chaotic. So this little getaway, like we had no service, like I could connect to the satellite and get some text messages here and there, but I really had no service, and we just chilled and relaxed and played games with Allie, my youngest daughter, which was super fun to spend this one-on-one time with her. We slept in. We'd get up and make breakfast, and camping breakfast is always the best because it's like breakfast burritos or pancakes and eggs and sausage and hash browns, all the good things, right? Because breakfast is my favorite meal. And play games. We'd go for a ride. We went for a little walk in the woods, just like took pause, breathed, At night, we'd play some more games. We'd sometimes watch a movie and just relax. It was so fun and relaxing and just what I needed before I came back and hit the ground running again with the next thing on the agenda. So I love this lost in nature, found in peace, because I feel like that definitely describes what I needed and what this little camping trip was for me. So I think putting this kind of in here, it's kind of my title really to this layout. And that leaves me just a little bit of space right here to do some journaling. I've got a couple little stickers that I'm going to add as well. We've got some pine cones that I think would be fun on here, and a couple little dots that was my pull it from my stash busting. These are actually from a trio card kit that Creative Memories had, and I had some extra in there, these nice warm brown tones, and I thought that those would be super cute to finish off this layout. So let's go ahead and get things glued down, because I'm really liking where things are at on here. And so we're going to get things glued down and go from there. So I am going to need my liquid adhesive, which is somewhere in here. Okay, found my liquid adhesive. That took me a hot second. All right, I'm using the Precision Craft Barely Art Precision Craft glue to use as my liquid adhesive, and I just want to kind of work on creating these clusters right here. So I want to go ahead and start by gluing down the trees onto there. So this one, I've got the small tree on the left. So this is like matched up exactly. I'm actually going to turn it over so that my first tree on this side is the large tree. And I'm just going to add some glue along here. Oops, there goes I hope that that's on the camera, yeah. And just kind of offset this. And it's going to be slightly below the tree line. So to just kind of create that border. And then we're going to add this. And you could use your regular adhesive too. I think you'd be okay. And then I just want this kind of right there on that. Like, see, we can use. I'm excited to use up this adhesive and put one of those jumbo repositionable refills in my jumbo dispenser. And the other thing I hope you noticed is, look, I have 2 Creative Memory mats now. That's exciting, right? So before I was using my old black ones that I've had for years from Close to My Heart. So now this is a little bit longer than, because it was offset, but how cool is that? Anyways, that looks good. So I'm just going to want to turn this over and take my scissors. Look at me with my Creative Memory scissors. Super fun. And I definitely am going to cut along the back so I can just line my scissors up with the edge of that cardstock and just cut that little piece off. Perfect, just like that. Is that awesome? Okay. And then I am going to add this photo first. And the reason is because it's kind of big and I'm going to move everything around based on how that photo fits on here. So everything is going to be kind of worked around that. So I would like to leave a little bit of space on either side here. So, and the other thing is I do need to create this other border. We should do that while we're here. Let's just be jumping around all over the place. It's fine. Everything's fine. So All right, so I've got the large tree on the avocado, so I want the small tree to be first. And I could kind of offset this way as if it's finishing that brown tree, which would be just fine. Let's do that. And we're gonna add this. And really, this, oh, I should have done more on the high. Border is 12 inches, so I could even trim off the cardstock or trim it down to that 12-inch spot. I kind of want to make sure I'm kind of close to the same height. There we go. And then we'll bring this down. I could trim this off now, but I'm just going to trim it off after I stick it on the layout. So now, do I need to worry about these trees being like perfectly straight? No, because they're trees. They all grow at different heights. But I am going to line that up across the bottom. Just a quick double check that I'm about like the same. Like it's a tree line. It's not like all the trees aren't the same height. Look, see, those aren't. So, but I do want it kind of in general about the same height, which it's, my total tree line is about 2 inches. So let's see. This one's maybe a little bit taller, it looks like, but I think it's fine. So, all right, let's move all these little pieces out of the way here so I can trim this off. So once again, we're going to turn this over, grab my scissors, and trim from the back because it just gives me that perfectly straight line that I can run my scissors right along the edge of the paper to give myself a straight cut. So, and just throw that little piece away. So I feel like that is actually needs to scoot over just a smidgen. It was just, I had a little bit of the cardstock showing. That's better. There we go. Maybe a little picky, but yep, that's me. I'm a little picky. So, all right, let me make sure I'm still all on camera here. Okay, now these were the 3x3 photos for this side. And these are the 3x3 ones over here on the left page. Make sure you keep that pin in your glue and then that won't clog. So I had these, and I would like to point out a little something about my photo placement, the order of them. It actually is very intentional. And let me show you what I have done here. So this photo, we're looking at the camera, but this one, they're facing, my daughter and husband are facing this way. So I definitely don't want them on this side looking off the layout, like their bodies are headed off the layout. But I want it on this side of the layout so they're kind of looking towards the center of the layout. This one, my husband's looking off in the horizon, same thing. I wouldn't want it over here with him looking off the page because I don't want you to look off the page. I want you to look onto the page. And so having this photo over here on this end allows to encourage that where you're looking onto the page. Now I'm going to line these photos up and where I want them based on now that I have this main photo on here, and then just kind of work things around it. So I'm going to grab my ruler, which I'm going to have to find. Okay, here's my ruler, and it's looking like I really am just kind of lining these photos up at about 2 inches from the bottom of the layout, and that's giving me nice spacing right here. So this is one of those like 0 center rulers where it shows me where center is. So let's put some adhesive here on the back of these. I'm loving this jumbo. And then I have this ruler lined up with 0, and so I am going to go ahead and center these photos with their little mats at right there. Now, I did have these trees. I'm just going to gently pull those up so they're just overlapping that photo just a little bit. So, and that's why I didn't add adhesive to the top of those trees. All right, then I'm going to put this one right, it's about, this corner is like, let's see, it's about 3/4 of an inch from the edge. I think I want to space it out just a little bit more. Yeah, so that's my half, so I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 basically from the edge there. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Do 5/8 from the edge there, like that. Okay. And then just take this little pokey tool and just pop those avocado trees up above. Okay, now I'm going to come over here to the right page and do the same thing. I'm at 2 inches from the base. I've got my center, and I'm going to line them up and match them the same, because remember that left and right page is a mirror image of each other. So here's my center photo. The other thing, sorry, I think I hit the camera, about my photo order is I'm kind of mixing up photos with people in them and photos that are like landscape. Remember, for example, these two photos have people in them, so the one I stuck between it was actually a landscape photo. Okay, and then this one, the two end photos only have one subject in them, whereas this one in the middle has both my daughter and I in there. And so this has single, so it kind of divides up. Instead of this being really heavy, if I had moved this photo over here, all three of these photos would have a lot of people in it. Whereas now I've kind of alternated more of a simple themed photo with a little bit busier photo. Do you see how I did that? I think about those things when I place my photos. I don't know if I'm the only one. I'm curious. Does anyone else look at their photos and kind of plan that out, or do they like just go for it? But I definitely lay out my photos and kind of plan out where I want them based on, to like make sure they're looking into the center, to make sure they're I don't have like all the people photos in the same spot, that I'm splitting it up with maybe some landscape or less busy photos, you know. So I think about those things. I don't know if I'm the only one. All right, so I'm going to start with this green avocado plaid, and then this one I want it to be overlapping and kind of pulled up, and I'm starting, let's see, I'm starting about 1/4 inch from the edge. Now I think on the sketch, I don't think that they were layered. Let's see, I've got that right here. They were a little bit, but like I said, I needed to layer mine a little bit more because my focal photo was considerably bigger than the one that was in the sketch. And so I'm going to layer that up like that. I like that a lot. And then once again, I'm just going to turn this over and cut this off. You could also definitely use your paper trimmer to cut those off. if you feel like you get a straighter cut line that way. I do want to look where I'd added the adhesive, and I just need a little bit right there. So let's stick that right in there. I told you this layout was going to come together quickly. Let's go ahead and add some adhesive over here. Oh, yeah, this is the right side. For a minute there, I was like, shoot, did I put that on the correct side? So where we're mirror imaging, so where I have the hot fudge wood grain on that side, I'm going to want it on the outside, on this side, because it's mirroring the image. So, and I'm going to want to start in about that same place, which was about a 1/4 inch over. So I'm kind of thinking about right there. So maybe on this one, I'll do it a little bit shorter. I love using my mat to help me kind of line things up, because as you have seen, I am one of those measurer type people. I am not, sometimes I eyeball things. I'm getting pretty good about spacing between photos. But I definitely, I think I want this, whoops, that kind of all came off. Let's see. I want to make sure that's straight. I think I want to shift that over just a little bit, so it's not so lined up. And this paper, this green avocado, has kind of the checkered lines on it, so it makes it really easy to give me a straight line to follow. That was nice. All right, so let's cut off the excess here. There we go. All right, and we're just about done. We just got to add this last photo. All right, and I am going to definitely so I'm going to add some adhesive kind of to this bottom side of the photo for a second here. And I know I want this kind of in this edge. I'm kind of hugging this left side because this is where I'm going to put my journaling. And if you are like me and need to make sure your photo is straight, stick your ruler on here. So I'm going to kind of be right about there. Perfect. Okay, now that I have that photo placed, I'm going to add some adhesive onto my little strips here. And my other little embellishment. And let's do some paper tucking. So we definitely want this in here like this, just kind of, I think that's up far enough. We'll see here. Then we're tucking this. Tucking paper is not an exact science. It's just eyeballing it. See, I can eyeball. I can do it. And then I've got, okay, so I actually want this green to be a little higher because I want it to stick up above where this log hits. Yeah, I don't want the log to be at the tallest thing. I think right in there. Yeah, okay, now that I have it right where I want, let's glue it down. And then I had these cute little pine cones that I thought would be perfect for kind of finishing this cluster. So I have actually kind of taken off the stickiness of those so that I could kind of lay them out and move them around. So I did have to add some adhesive back to it, and I kind of just want these to kind of finish this corner off, and it makes the illusion that this paper came all the way down, because I just had a little scrap here. I think it was probably like a 6 by 6. No, let's see. It was probably like, it's like 4.5 by 5-inch square. It was just a scrap in the bag with my other paper. And so I just pulled that out and stuck it in there. Okay. All right. Now I talked about my journaling, and I have a stamp. This is like lines that I'm visualizing to stamp that right here and right on it. I don't have a ton to say, but just like basically how it was great to get out. And see, this is why I line things up. This is going to definitely be where this is not lined up. Okay. I've got to line that up because especially where I'm going to put those words right across it, and it's going to totally show that that isn't lined up if I don't have that lined up straight. There. That's better. Perfect. Let's see, do I need to trim off a little bit? Oops, sorry, I just hit the camera. There we go. It was really going to show if that wasn't straight between the photo and that strip if I put my journaling lines right here. Now I have two options. I can totally stamp this and write on there. I don't have a ton to say, like I said, but I do have a little bit of information I want to make sure I give, like about our trip. So the other option is I could print that out and stick it on there. So I'm going to try both journaling options. I'm going to maybe print it out and see, just because then I can adjust the font and make sure it fits perfectly. And print it out and then stick it right there on there. And I might print it on some like clear vellum sticker and stick it on there. So, but that's where I'm kind of visualizing that journaling. So the last thing I want to add is, besides the journaling, is I have these little dots, and I thought these would be just, they look very outdoorsy, kind of like the color of sap. And I'm just going to use, well, I'm going to try to use my tweezers here and just kind of maybe sprinkle. Actually, I think I want to pop this little pine cone up. So I'm going to grab a little bit of 3D foam tape here, just some thin. Yeah, that needs a little dimension there. Okay, where did I put my dots? Oh, right here. And maybe just kind of sprinkle some of these throughout. Like, I'm kind of thinking in threes, odd numbers, triangles. But that's a rule of thumb, but doesn't mean you always have to do it that way. So like around these, where I have this third one kind of makes it look as if it's one cluster. So I have 3 and 2, that kind of makes it look like 5, you know, odd number. I think I want to scoot this one over here. Not so lined up. Okay. Perfect. Oh my gosh, I think this turned out super cute. All right, let's take a final look at the original recipe. So we've got this layout right here, and I stayed really true to my recipe this time. And then here is my final layout. So that turned out great. I love how that turned out. That's super fun. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. So the only thing looking at it is I do wonder if I would like something maybe on these little banners. They did some different embellishments on there. So I'm going to take a look through my embellishments and see what I've got, because that's one area where I'm like looking at it. I'm like, does it look finished? Maybe it could use something just right on these. So let's take a look at what I've got, and maybe I'll come pop back on here and show you what I do. Okay, I went ahead and printed my journaling on some vellum and stuck on here so that it just, which I'm really glad I did because it fit better that way, because I had a little bit more information that I wanted to include, and it made it work a little bit better, and I made sure it fit. I could size it until it fit into the space I had. So I did it's like a 1.5 by 4 inch piece of vellum here, vellum sticker. And then I did add the sticker and a couple more pine cones onto the left-hand side. And that just kind of helped repeat my pine cones across the layout, which was good. And then I switched up because I added 2 little gems, or these little dots here over here. So instead of having 3 on this one and then 5, it was almost too many. I moved 3 over here, and then I just have the 2 up there. And I think that looks good. I think one of the good things to remember is know when to stop and say, okay, that's good, it's enough. This cluster with the branches and and this border, that's a little busier, which I balanced that out by having this really cute cardstock. Make sure I'll put a link in the description to this cardstock that's available right now. So that helps kind of balance this really busy texture with kind of a little softer pattern. And this trees isn't crazy busy, so there's varying degrees of busyness, and my photos don't get lost and remain the focus on my layout. And I think it's great that Lost in Nature, Found in Peace is kind of my title for this layout with the journaling right here, and it's okay that that title is over here on the right hand page. I kind of had the 2 focal photos, but I made them drew attention to them in totally different ways with this great big frame and with this layering and adding this little cluster up here. So I think it was the reason I didn't put anything here is I didn't want another cluster to compete. So I kind of have this cluster with the leaves that draws your eye across and then back up, and I've got this going across the bottom. Adding more over here would just be more busyness, and it would compete with what's going on here. So I think that's why it's good. I like how it turned out, and I'm happy with the final outcome. So I hope you enjoyed this little process video, and be sure to follow the link also in the description to head on over to see Kimberly's layout, because she uses a completely different collection and creates the same project recipe number 29. All right, thank you for joining me. Happy scrapbooking. And once again, I just wanted to give a shout out to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll have links to the products that I used below. And I do appreciate when you order from me. It supports my small business, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you for your support. Thanks for watching. And as always, happy scrapbooking.